Hello and welcome to PCMag Live. I'm Dan Costa, he is Sascha Segan, and we've got a great show for you today. We've got the top tech news of the day, we've got a reader question that we're going to answer, and then we're going to show you one cool thing from the lab. Sascha, let's get to the big story today. This broke, and it's really the worst type of security breach. Heartbleed's it's called Heartbleed OpenSSL bug. It allows hackers to read secure communications. You may not think that you're using OpenSSL, it doesn't mean anything to you, but you are, and so are 66% of all of the websites that are using security technology online.
Yeah, well, first of all, you gotta love the name of this. There's a friend of mine on Twitter who has decided that Heartbleed is the name of a emo band that was hot in 2004 and has been tweeting out the names of their fake albums.
They've been waiting for this moment.
Exactly. But no, if you use the little lock icon on your web browser to securely transmit anything, usually pretty much all payment on the internet uses this, then you use OpenSSL, and you may be on a browser or interacting with a platform or touching a server that has this bug. Now, this only applies to OpenSSL versions that are newer than December 2011. So actually some older sites don't have this bug, but the bug has been around for 2 years and nobody knows who has exploited it.
And there's no way to track whether it's been used or whether it's been deployed. So basically whatever happened over the last 2 years, no one will ever know.
Yep.
The bug has been there, it has been open, and we're talking about basically full access to your memory, which could be your passwords, it could be your email, it could be your chats, it could be your communications.
And meanwhile, everything on the internet needs to be updated to fix this. This means every browser. This means a large number of websites. This means a large amount of back-end software. There's a huge amount of updating that needs to go on to fix this bug.
Yeah, the big providers are all doing it right now. It's really kind of hard to tell who's done it and who's not. Everybody's in this mad rush to deploy solutions, but basically you're going to have to renew your certificates.
And definitely make sure that your browser is updated to the latest possible version.
Do that today. Also in the news today, Comcast is going in front of the US Senate to defend or justify their acquisition of Time Warner Cable. They've got a 680-page document that explains why this is not anti-competitive. The things that jumped out of that document to me, that they're claiming that there's actually a lot of competition in the industry and therefore they need to make this acquisition to compete. They claim in the New York City area, where we both live, there are 29 different broadband providers and no less than 19 video providers. That's news to me.
The level of bullshit going on in this statement is like, and I read the statements of wireless companies trying to merge, okay, and this is like a new order of bullshit magnitude, okay? The sheer intensity of the bullshit that Comcast is trying to put past us here is blinding. Like, I'm bleeding from the eyes, I'm bleeding from the heart. I have heart bleed from this.
So you look at all the competitors that they list nationwide, and they'll do this across the entire country, and they always include Dish. They always include DirecTV, and they say that these are competitors they have to go up against.
I'm writing a column where I break this list down and show why it is utter nonsense, but they do things like for broadband competitors, they include all the wireless carriers, except all the wireless carriers say flat out you should not use them as your primary means of home broadband access. They include WildBlue and HughesNet, which are satellite broadband. Anyone who uses satellite broadband knows that you never use satellite broadband if you have any other choice, because it sucks so badly.
It's just slow. They're slow connections.
Yeah, they of course include DSL. Well, in my neighborhood, Verizon DSL offers a maximum speed of 3 megabits per second. Oh, that's a great competitor. So they give you this list and they try to overwhelm you with pages and numbers, but as you break it down bit by bit, okay, it is complete nonsense. They are trying to avoid the fact that cable providers are pretty much a broadband monopoly in a lot of this country, and if they're going to be allowed to merge, it is going to need to be regulated within an inch of its goddamn life.
Sascha feels strongly about this, obviously. I think that his basic point there is that this market is not competitive.
No.
And it is not going to be more competitive post-acquisition if it goes through. Also in the news, another story which is going to make Sascha's head explode. Uber is offering 7-minute rides with Google Ventures investors for startups in San Francisco between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. today. That's right, if you call up the Uber, they will pick you up, you'll get into the car, you'll have 7 minutes to pitch your venture, and they will have 7 minutes to tell you whether or not you're going to be a millionaire.
I love this because this is like a douche turducken, okay?
This is like made for Silicon Valley, the show. HBO's like ripping this, they're running it into next week's show.
Well, like you've got Uber, okay, which is like the douchiest means of transportation, and then you put these Silicon Valley VC douches in there with these startup douches, and it's like it'll collapse into like a douche neutron star, and like hopefully attract douchery from around it, and maybe take that out of Silicon Valley through the sheer weight of its douche gravity.
See, and I say this, I agree with you, and yet I also ride an Uber all the time. So, and I'm a dedicated customer and love the service. So we're going to have to agree to disagree on that. Let's move on to a reader question, which should be just as inflammatory. This is Michael. He deems himself a wordsmith. He said that in his email. And he wants to know how many XP users are out there that are unable to upgrade to Windows 7 because of inadequate hardware. Now, let me just say, this is the only line. This question was about 1,000 words. This is the only line that I'm allowed to read on air because it was so profane and so emotional, and he is so angry at us for telling people to give up on XP and move up to Windows 7. But this is a question that is a legitimate question, and we should answer.
Yeah, his major concern was that he felt that many Windows XP users out there do not have hardware that is capable of running newer operating systems. So I did some research. And Windows 7, which is the minimum we recommend that people upgrade to, very nice operating system, requires a 1 gigahertz processor, 1 gig of RAM, and 16 gigs of hard drive space. And pretty much any system from 2006 or later has these specs. So we're talking about computers that are 8 years old. Now, an old study from memory company Crucial showed that the average lifespan of a home PC is 4.5 years, and most companies have 3 to 5 year cycles, replacement cycles. So the number of PCs that are actually more than 8 years old and therefore unable to run Windows 7 is actually pretty small. Now, furthermore, the price of new PCs has gone very low at this point, so that you could get a $300 computer that can run Windows 8, Windows 8.1, and has far better capabilities than if you are running a 9 or 10-year-old PC. You should really look at dropping a relatively small amount of money to upgrade.
And again, if you don't, you will be operating without security patches, which means you're going to be wide open to hackers. It's really a good idea to move on.
Your heart will be bleeding.
Your heart will be bleeding. Sorry about that, Michael, but that's our best advice. Let's move on to one cool thing. Every year we test thousands of products here in our lab in New York City. Every day we take one thing off the shelf and show it to you live. Today that thing is the Samsung Gear Fit, the much anticipated wearable device from Samsung. It's a $200 smartwatch health tracker hybrid. We actually think it might even be work better as a smartwatch. But the notification systems are great. You get Android notifications. The health monitoring data is rudimentary. It's not great for a $200 tracker, but an attractive device. But the real crux of it is that it really only works with Samsung devices.
Yeah. I mean, at least it works with more Samsung phones than the original Galaxy Gear did. It works with more than a dozen different Samsung phones. And it's more Gear than Fit. Okay,
Yep.
it's a good way of getting your Samsung Android notifications on your wrist in this really attractive, good-looking way. There's a media controller.
And the display is fantastic.
Yeah, the display is fantastic. There aren't any third-party apps because this is a proprietary feature phone-like platform. But the main thing that Jill, our fitness reviewer, dinged it for is that fitness-wise, it isn't as efficient or complete as some of the other trackers out there like Basis.
And it's a little bit expensive.
Yeah.
$200. You can read Jill's full review on PCMag.com, and that is PCMag Live for today. Come on in. If you like today's show, let us know in the comments section. If you have questions, let us know on Twitter and Facebook. We will be back tomorrow with a brand new episode.